Okay, there's been a lot of press about the film we're about to talk about, Albert Nobbs, which stars Glenn Close playing the character of Albert Nobbs, who is actually a woman dressed as a man. Becky, what did you think of the film?
I really liked it. I saw the trailers and was quite alarmed by Glenn Close's appearance, and I think it kept that throughout the film, but I thought that the more that unrolled about the story, the supporting characters worked really well, and they really came into their own. It didn't just become about Glenn Close anymore, it really was about everyone else involved in the story.
The issue with the film for me is a lot of the press has centred around the fact that it's Glenn Close dressed as a man, so I was a little confused. Is she meant to be a transsexual character? Is she a transvestite character? But what appears, what emerges from this film is that she's had to take on the identity of a man in order to survive in what was actually a very, very bleak time in Ireland's history in the late 19th century, early 20th century, when there was no welfare state, there was no support for poor people or people who had to work till the day they died.
Yeah,
it's actually a very scathing film of British and Irish society at that time.
Yeah, very much. I kind of felt that women, it was obviously a lot largely about women, but it was just very, very bleak in every possible sense. It didn't really allow any happiness to seep through, and when it did, it kind of shot it down a bit. So yeah.
It's not a film you go, it's not a date film. Don't take a date to see this. But it's a very challenging film in the sense that with what's happening just now in America and in the UK, where there's what the reignited issues about abortion and contraception and women's autonomy over their own bodies, this cuts back to go, well, this is where we've come from, and this is almost where we're going to as well. There's also issues of religion, although very, very faint. But what really struck me was Glenn Close. It's a fantastic performance from her. There's something really quite just so sad about it all, so miserable about it all.
Yeah, I kind of felt like the character really struggled to find happiness, but at no point did her character know what happiness was, so it kept looking for things that never really panned out. And I thought the scene, I don't know if you agree, the scene when they're on the beach and she meets the Mr. Page character, and they both put on dresses and they start running along the beach, and it's absurd. The whole scene is daft in and of itself, but there's something about it that's really, really sad but nice. It's this little glimpse of, well, this is Glenn Close coming into rediscovering that she is actually a woman, and that she can walk like that and she can fan her arms out. Because obviously from the rest of the film is this really rigid, it's all about duty and social roles that you have to do.
That's a really interesting point, because a lot of it is about identity. Because Albert Nobbs doesn't know where she came from. You never actually find out what her female name is or was. It's a lot about identity and roots.
Yeah.
Whereas in a time where we now really value these things, and back then, it wasn't, if you didn't know your roots, you just had to get on with it. There was no way of finding out.
Yeah, I really liked the Mr. Page character as well. I thought that that scene on the beach was one of my favourite ones, because I enjoyed any point that they were on the screen together. I really liked. But I just loved every little nuanced movement and darting of the eyes and the way that they moved, and even though Mr. Page and Nobbs are obviously two real characters, so to speak, they both moved very differently. Nobbs was very reserved and womanly in that sense, but Page was really flamboyant, and even the way he was dressed, it was just very, I'm a worker, and I really liked the two of them together. They provided nice sort of aspects of how these women tried to behave like women.
They were the two really shining points of the film.
Yeah, very much.
But there was this idea of repression and of themselves, and suppression from the upper class society, and in other points the church as well, that really run true from.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Very challenging.